Darrell Brooks Jr. was convicted on all 76 charges Wednesday for his role in the 6 deaths and dozens of injuries in the 2021 Waukesha Christmas Parade tragedy, where he drove an SUV through crowds of people celebrating a hallowed city tradition. After being sequestered Tuesday night, the jury announced it had verdicts early Wednesday. It took the jury a little over 3 hours to find Darrell Brooks guilty of all charges, including 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, which carry mandatory life in prison terms. Brooks looked down, hid his face between his hands and rested on his forehead as the verdict was being read. 6 people died and at least another 61 others were injured when a red Ford Blazer SUV driven by Brooks tore through the holiday parade trial on November 21, 2021. Authorities and others scrambled to help victims over a 4-block stretch while at the same time beginning the search for the driver. The 4-week-long trial was replete with disruptions and delays from Brooks, who decided to represent himself less than a week before the trial's first day. Brooks' trial represented the end of a long legal process that included dramatic shifts, beginning with charges filed 2 days after the parade and continuing with pre-trial hearings just days before the trial. Among the changes were 2 changes in Brooks' plea of not guilty, to not guilty by reason or mental disease or defect, also known as an insanity defense, and then a withdrawal of that defense strategy. Outside of the courtroom, people wearing in blue Waukesha strong sweatshirts had gathered ahead of the verdict's announcements, heads bowed in silent prayer. The trial, which began October 3, was never a smooth process, frequently breaking down into arguments between Brooks and Waukesha County Circuit Judge Jennifer Darrow. Much of the disagreement stemmed from Brooks' decision to waive his right to an attorney and represent himself, which Darrow had warned in advance of the trial that he would do, at his own peril, noting he would have to abide by unfamiliar laws and court processes. But the tussles were also tied to Brooks' repeated attempts to present himself as a sovereign citizen, which Darrow and prosecutors repeatedly called a thoroughly debunked theory in which defendants challenged the jurisdiction of the courts. Even after Darrow issued a written ruling on the court's jurisdiction, Brooks continued to ask for proof of jurisdiction. As a result of the sometimes heated arguments with Brooks, Darrow on several occasions removed him to an adjacent courtroom, usually to allow her to finish stating her findings for the record without interruption. Darrow said today's technology afforded her an option to have him participate remotely without violating his right to be present during proceedings.